Hello, I'm Richard, I'm a writer at Astranti, and I'm going to be taking you through the top 10 most likely unseen issues in the upcoming management case study exam on Menteen. These are the 10 issues I think are most likely to come up in the unseen part of the exam, and I've based my choices on a number of factors. Firstly, the focus that's given to the issue in the pre-scene. So if there's specific space devoted to an issue in the pre-scene, then that indicates the degree of importance attached to it by the examiner. That's the first thing. The next factor in my choice is the strategic importance of that particular issue. So if it's got a particular importance to a SWOT analysis, or the importance likely to be attached to it by the directors of Menteen, then that's taken into account as well. And also I'm going to take into account my own experience of past exams regarding typical issues that come up time and time again, and how easy it is to write about those particular issues, how easy it is, for example, for the examiner to draw you out on a number of different areas to be examined. So all of those I take into account. So when it comes to preparing for these issues yourself, what you can do usefully is prepare the key models from the preceding information, but just remember that there's no point for just trotting out the models themselves. You need to be able to adapt all the models that you use for new points, new information that's given to you in the unseen. Okay. You can practice mock exams that cover these key issues, which we also supply. You can find relevant real-life examples and prepare sample paragraphs. If you look at my industry pack, for example, a lot of this is done for you. Go to it, look at it, learn them, and then learn typical key points that you can use and adapt to the specific issue in the exam, such as the advantages and disadvantages of one type of solution versus another. And lastly, get yourself prepared for which models you need to be using to support the particular issue at hand. Okay? Alright. So number 10 is the environment and competitor analysis. Now, the reason that I've chosen this one for number 10 is that first of all, we see in the wider industry some changing laws on the notion of territoriality in the film business and copyright. Sorry, the letters were missed out there. And this is something that's going to be affecting the film industry. They base their model on being able to sell rights in lots of different territories. There's a big push in Europe where Menteen trades towards a digital single market. So that's something from the outside environment coming in to Menteen that it might have to deal with. Okay, wider than that specific issue, we have economic risks. Menteen is based in Europe. Europe is in a state of uncertainty at the moment following the UK's decision to leave the EU and the massive detrimental effect it's had on the UK currency, the pound sterling. What does that mean for Menteen? What does it mean for the Beeland dollar? What does it mean for the euro? All of these things. Menteen is trading in multiple territories, and so there's currency risk, there's economic risk in general. Okay, so that's another issue. I also feel that changes in technology, particularly around things like on-demand streaming, and the social changes, the way that we view video content now is changing, and so this is all things that are coming in from the environment that are going to affect Menteen. And lastly, leading on from things like on-demand streaming, there's lots of choice for consumers now, more than ever before really, in terms of substitution. They can substitute different ways of watching films, but they can substitute all kinds of other entertainment and other kinds of activities and experiences. Okay, so that's why I've chosen it. If we move on and have a look at the likely issues that are likely to come up around that, you may be asked to assess the competitiveness of the industry in general in one form or another. It could take all kinds of forms. You may be asked to look at how changes specific changes in the external environment could impact the business. So you might be asked to look at digital single market, or you might be asked to look at on-demand streaming or something like that. And it could also come in as an add-on as part of a risk management question. So the key points that you must raise when you come to any kind of question around environmental analysis: first of all, you need to be doing your PESTEL analysis. You need to be looking at Porter's 5 forces and analysing the competitive environment that way. And you need to specifically look at the impact on corporate risks and strategic developments that the issue would have. Okay, so those are the models you can use. Just remember to apply them specifically to the issue at hand in the exam and not just in a general sense. Okay, that applies to all of these. So issue number 9, efficiencies in the value chain. And the reason I've picked this one, value creation is incredibly important to a company like Menteen with so many costly inputs and very fickle customers, not just the consumers who might go to one film or another, but also the cinema chains, the TV networks and so forth. Very, very hard for Menteen really to predict the success of a project, and so really it's also hard for them to influence the price that they get for a cinema ticket. This is not within their control really. And so when it comes to being more profitable, they've only got 2 choices: make a more popular film, or work really hard at value chain efficiencies. Now this is hinted at in a number of places in the pre-scene. We see it in discussions around input costs, so the costs of CGI animations, for example, are specifically broken out, but there could be all kinds of others. The costs of actors, or the cost of marketing. Okay, the difficulty that they have in differentiating, and just remember that the pre-scene does specifically bring up the difficulty the company has in tracking costs, and the fact that most films overrun. Okay, so I think the likely issues are going to be around where Menteen can achieve efficiencies, where it could possibly create economies of scale, and how to use the value chain within the company. All right, so I think those are the likely issues. Now when you come to value chain analysis, you absolutely must mention that you are using the value chain, and the areas I think of possible efficiency could come from prices paid to suppliers. All kinds of inputs are suppliers, so an actor is a supplier, just as a director is a supplier, just as a lighting gantry company is a supplier. Okay, there are multiple opportunities for outsourcing, so you can always get good marks for weighing up the pros and cons of outsourcing a key business process. What it mustn't do is compromise the key strategies, okay, and it shouldn't compromise quality or safety. As long as you mention that, you ought to be okay. Now, just before I go, let me remind you that this is not the end of it. We do offer a full range of support materials, including the study text and other course videos. We do the industry analysis, where we look at the real world industry that your case study is based on. We do mock exams around the case study exam, and we offer marking, feedback and masterclasses, all of which are covered by the Astranti Pass Guarantee.